Hey, what's up? We told y'all we was gonna be doing a YouTube channel. I'm whispering because we about to do our first video for this channel, but he don't know that it's about to be a prank too. So I'm about to just be really mean to him for no reason. So here we go.
What's up? It's your girl Nikki, and I got my boo here.
Say hey, boo.
Hey, boo.
Boo! Peace, blessings.
Okay, what's this video about again?
We talking about the concept of marriage
Okay,
and the Asiatic dynamic.
okay. I don't know if they're ready for that, but okay. Let's talk about it. What's your concept of marriage?
My concept of marriage is the connection between.
You gonna sit up? Sit up.
No. My concept of marriage is between the male and the female energy. And that is embodied by the love between a man and a woman. Now, should this be a designated man and woman? I personally, I don't think so.
What you mean by designated man or woman?
As in, for real, all male and female energies of the divine universe in which we exist within are already married. Like we try to solidify pieces of paper and ceremonies, and I mean that's cool.
So you saying everybody's just already married with everybody?
Everybody's already married with everybody. So all the ceremonies and paperwork, that's miscellaneous. That's fugazi to me.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Basically, what I'm saying, right? Has anybody here ever heard of the Zodiac Constitution? It states that all males and females have already been married since the beginning of time. Our energies naturally attract with each other, and this says that the relationship was pre-existing before you actually meet your counterpart. I also want to take the time to explain to you the concept of a twin flame. You heard of a twin flame, Nick?
I heard of twin flame, but I ain't never heard of no Zodiac Constitution talking about everybody's already married. That sounds kind of a little stupid.
I mean, if it sounds stupid, I could definitely pull that deal up for you. I gotta find the Zodiac Constitution. I gotta download. I've been meaning to do that anyway. Now, I'm not a fan of the Zodiac Constitution, but it does have some truth in it. I would say.
Sit up. Why you all slouch down and stuff like?
Because I'm
you don't
comfortable
even.
like this.
Oh, okay. Well.
I'm not gonna give you. So, anyways, yeah. So,
our family's gonna be like watching this stuff. I'm just saying.
Your family is gonna be watching this stuff.
Okay.
My family is YouTube illiterate.
So
At least when it comes to me.
So rude.
They still watch TV.
So disrespectful.
Go
ahead.
That being said, right? So you got the male, the divine female, the divine male energy is already united. You know what I'm saying? When you take a magnet, you got a negative magnet and you got a positive magnet. And if you take the negative and the positive magnet, you put them apart, they gonna come together. You know what I'm saying? Like butt cheeks. So that's the saying.
Why your mind on butt cheeks?
I'm telling you that's what the saying goes, nigga. That's what the saying goes. It don't go like that.
I ain't never heard nothing like that before. Until now.
Well, Google it. Anyway, so you got the positive, you got the negative, and they come together like butt cheeks. That's the same way with the male and the female energy. You know what I'm saying? Divine destiny manifested. You know what I mean? I'm saying the paperwork is miscellaneous. That's.
I mean, I kind of agree with that.
That's for the policy
enforcers,
and
But I don't know about everybody being married because I ain't married to everybody.
Well, the thing about it is,
I ain't trying to be married to everybody.
I'm not trying to say that you're married to everybody. I'm simply
What
saying.
you just
that
said.
No, well, I said everybody's married to everybody. Yes, everybody, but you're not everybody.
So I'm nobody.
I'm not saying that you're nobody,
You just.
but I'm saying that you're not everybody. You're somebody, but you're not everybody. So somebody isn't married to everybody. Everybody's married to everybody.
Whatever.
Here's an example, right? So if y'all ever watch March of the Penguins, you know what I'm saying, all the emperor penguins, you see them, they do their little mating ritual, they jump in the water. Technically, if you watch them at the very first part, they kind of dancing and they showing off for everybody, like they flipping and doing hoopty-doops in the water. They not doing that for one specific person. I mean, one specific penguin, one specific bird. But as the time goes on and they develop, you know what I'm saying, they get connected with their one special partner.
So we supposed to make like birds and just you know, they mate with a different partner every time, like for real.
It depends on what type of birds you're talking about. See, this is the way I see it.
Okay,
and I ain't trying to.
I feel like we're getting off track.
Well, you was asking me about my
Cause I just go.
marriage.
Well, yeah, but it feel like we're getting off track. Like.
All right, well, tell me your concept of marriage, Nikki.
I agree with the no paper thing. Like I've done that before. I've been there, done that, and in reality, when I look back on it, we had a paper saying we were married, but we weren't really married. Like there was no union or no unity really going on. It was he had his thing that he wanted to do in his way of life he wanted to live, and I had my way of life that I wanted to live and I felt was right, and it wasn't matching together, and eventually we, you know, had to go different ways because it just wasn't gonna work out, and yeah. So it wasn't really a marriage; it was just on paper, just to make me feel good. Really, at the end of the day, because he really just did what he felt like I wanted him to do, and I guess was supposedly trying to appease me by doing it, but I was only trying to sell what was already supposed to have been in play. So I just feel like it's really, the marriage is really the unity between the individuals, and it's that understanding and that bond of saying this is the life we want to live, and you're the one I want to live it with for the rest of my life, basically, and to build it together, you know, or whatever you're trying to build together with.
And see, that right there to me is the key. I mean, because I've been married to, you know what I'm saying, like, I had my ex-wife, and for real, but I feel like I was married multiple times, because there's some exes that, I mean, I feel like we was married.
Kind of,
Like,
basically.
we was living, yeah, you know, we was living together, we jammed together,
All that stuff.
all that stuff, you know, so it's like, isn't that really what the marriage is about? You know, like the last one was with paperwork, and I say that's probably the most distant one that I had.
It's just like, if you doing all the same stuff and you just don't have the paperwork, what's the difference being made other than a document and basically a contract with the government to say that now they have control over dictating what consequences and repercussions to what actions, when that's supposed to be between you and whoever you're with. And so, like, you're already, a lot of times, and not everybody does, but a lot of times in today's society, you're already living together, you're already sleeping together, you already probably had kids together a lot of times, not always, but there's a lot of us out here, and it's like, what are you making a difference in by doing the paper? Now, I understand the desire to have a ceremony or whatever. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a ceremony. What girl doesn't grow up dreaming of having that day where she get to feel special and get dressed up and everybody, like, to show to the world your love and all of that different things. Yeah, that's great. That's good. But just the whole indoctrination of the documentation and making a contract with the government and all of that type of stuff, I'm not with anymore. I don't agree with it.
I mean,
And I personally don't agree with the ring and all that, because I found out pretty much the premises of a ring, and it's like, what for? Like, I'm not one that like to follow trends just because that's what everybody does. I have my own idea of how I would want ceremony to go for me, and it wouldn't include any rings.
What would it? And y'all don't get a kick out of it. What would it?
Why would they get a kick? Why you got?
Because I want them to know though, like.
But why they gonna get a kick out of it? Why you gotta be so rude?
I'm not being rude.
You making a mockery of what
No,
I want.
how is
for my
that a mockery?
wedding.
Because I'm saying you won't get a kick. They probably gonna like the idea and steal it. That's what I mean. You get a kick out of it. You like the idea, you gonna steal the idea.
If y'all watch my other channel, y'all already know I have children, and so my idea of actually the wedding ceremony. First of all, anybody that I'm to marry, it has to be some type of bond that's also built with my kids, because my kids at this point are first and foremost priority, and they should always be first and foremost priority. I also believe that the bond between a husband and wife, or a wife and a wife, or whoever should be priority, and nothing should be able to come between them. But if you are marrying somebody who doesn't have a bond with your kids that you already have, then that's going to cause turmoil and struggle. Either it's going to cause turmoil between the husband and wife, wife or wife, husband, husband, whatever y'all dynamic is. Or it's going to cause turmoil between you and your kids, because then it's like you're picking one over the other. So it shouldn't be that way. And in order to make sure it's not that way, I feel like, me personally, I would want it to be something where I know that my kids, not only am I saying that I'm agreeing to this union, but also my kids and them are agreeing to this union as us coming together as a whole family. And so I personally have envisioned and come up with the concept of, first of all, there will be necklaces, not rings. And the necklace would be between me and my spouse, would be our birthstone. So it would be my birthstone, which is June. Would be I prefer like amethyst. I know there's the other birthstone, alexandrite, but some alexandrite is okay. But not to get off topic, my birthstone and their birthstone. And so then there will also be a second necklace, which would be the one that person would put on my kid's neck. Now, if they have kids, I would have to do the same thing with their kids. If they don't have kids, then speaking of him, he doesn't have any kids. So he would just be the one to put it on my kid's neck, and my kids would be the one to accept it and say that they agree to this union, if they agree to this union, and agree to respect him as a father figure, and he agreed to treat them at the same as if they were his children as well, and with all the love being the same. And so he would put the necklace on their neck, and that necklace would encompass my birthstone, his birthstone, and all of their birthstones. And so we would be wearing two necklaces, they would be wearing one necklace. And we just discussed earlier, because he was talking about, he agrees with a ring. I don't really necessarily agree with a ring. Not saying I really have anything against a ring per se, it could just being a ring. It's just the fact that the whole premise of where that concept came from. Like, I'm not trying to carry on their traditions, but if we wanted to do something like that, so my understanding, the ring is on this finger because of the fact that's the vein that goes to your heart. So if you wanted to do something like that, instead of having that, which also represents somebody putting a ribbon on your finger and saying, so you can remember who you belong to, instead of doing that, we could get a matching tattoo on our chest. Like, that's just an idea. Not saying that would have to be a definite, but that's just an idea to replace the idea of a ring. That's just me. Because I ain't trying to remember who I belong to, because I don't belong to nobody, to anybody. You trying to belong to somebody?
I'm nobody's possession.
You belong to me.
No, I don't.
You belong to me.
Neither one of us belong to each other.
He belonged to me.
I don't. I belong to the Most High. As the sheep. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, like, at the end of the day,
Listen.
I want to, as far as like when you talk about the symbol of the ring, it always is supposed to be a symbol of eternity. Now, I'm not really sure what a necklace represents. I think, to me, when you talk about necklaces or, you know, within our own culture, necklaces typically represent a possession of something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know back in the ancestors, they used to wear the tooth of their kills. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they had the teeth, the kills, or they had the teeth, you know what I'm saying? Like, the enemies or something, they had that on the necklace. You know what I'm saying? Similar to the way, you know, the brothers, they got the cross, or they got the, you know, the fat jewels. So that means that you've won something. You know what I'm saying? You've conquered something. And, you know, my baby, she likes to conquer stuff. So, like, that, I definitely see how that feeds off of your energy.
But why you gotta equate my stuff to something of a kill though? Like,
I mean, because that's really what a necklace is. That's what a necklace always has been. A
you're
necklace.
gonna be a negative again.
I'm just being real with you. If you actually look at the Olympic Games, you know, the medals were worn on a necklace. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something that
Okay,
they've
that's an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
That
So
doesn't
it's
mean
an
a possession. It's accomplishment, like something you're proud of.
It could be an accomplishment, it could be a possession, but ultimately a necklace is usually something that's meant that you've overcome.
You gotta turn everything into something negative.
I'm not trying to make it so. I mean, that's a positive for
That
real.
is not positive.
How is winning a gold medal a negative? Like, I
No,
don't
you
understand
started out
that.
saying something about turning something into it being something representing possession.
Yeah.
Possession, like
possession. Something that you've conquered.
How is
and
that
now
not
that you
negative?
possess. I mean, it's not negative. I mean, if you've conquered something, if you've overcome something, like when the ancestors, they used to wear the teeth around the necklace. That means they overcome a predator, or you know what I'm saying, like they overcome an enemy. Like
I mean, we heard you say that the first time, but
Right,
it's
so
just
that's what I'm saying. So it's not nothing negative if you overcome something.
it's negative as you turning it into the same thing I just said. The reason why I don't like the ring is because it represents you being possessed and who you belong to, and then you turn the necklace into basically the same thing.
Well, you was saying in the way that, you know, you putting on that ring as far as being a symbol of submission, and that's nothing new. If you actually look at the history on the Caribbean islands, actually you will notice that the Asiatic females there typically didn't take on marriage, and you can see very similar amongst the Yoruba. They refused to marry what you would call quote-unquote husbands because they seen it as a misogynistic tool, you know what I'm saying, to own the female, and ultimately that's what it is.
So you feel like being married is just misogynistic?
I believe that it's misogynist roots. I honestly believe that it has misogynist roots because ultimately when you look at a marriage certificate, it is a contract.
So you
Very similar to a contract of ownership.
So you're admitting to be a misogynist.
I wouldn't necessarily say I've been a misogynist because I was subjected to that practice. There were some things.
But I'm talking about now. You was talking about what you feel like a marriage is and everything like that. And earlier you was talking about rings and stuff like that. So that means you admit to being a misogynist.
Well, I feel like a ring isn't a marriage. You know what I'm saying? A ring simply is a symbol of eternity. You know, because it's a, you know.
But you were talking about it in the concept of marriage.
I actually wasn't. I was saying the symbol of the ring represents eternity.
I'm talking about the conversation we were having earlier.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Oh.
for real. Like,
Oh.
We smoked a little bit too much for the ganja for me to remember all that. But yeah, no, I don't know what you're saying.
Remember that later.
Alright, well, we're going to remember that later. As for now...
No, remember that you don't remember that.
Alright, that's cool, and I'm going to not remember it. But the thing about it is that with me, you know, like, that's the way I kind of see it. That's the way, you know, like tagging somebody in possession. When in fact, the marriage is really just the understanding of the connection. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some legal reasons why you should get married. if you really care for somebody and you're ready for that commitment for those legal reasons. But as far as the emotional, as far as it representing a strong relationship, some of the strongest relationships I've ever had have been undocumented. So I don't feel why marriage has to be like that. I mean, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but that's just the reality about the way I feel.
So, what legal reasons did you feel that somebody should get married for legal reasons?
Well, in the Quran, it speaks of marriage basically being important for the legality of it, because relationships change, you know what I'm saying, and the status of those relationships can be seen by different parties. You say like this, right? So if I love you, I want you to be my wife, right? But you also have children by another man. You know, technically my relationship is subordinate to them. Just to be real with you. You know what I'm saying? And like, I mean, this is probably why, you know, typically you avoid situations like that. Like, especially somebody in my situation. You would be smarter to avoid it. But it's just like, you love what you love. And that's the thing. It's important you don't love what you love. You don't fall in love with what you fall in love with.
You can avoid it.
I'm the thing.
No,
you anyways, but like I was saying, I was saying, when you talk about that, you know, there could be some legality in the situation, like with us living together. Somebody might say, "Oh man, well, you know, that dude, this is my baby's mother. I forbid her to live." And when you talk, I mean, the thing about it is if you don't have the legality of marriage, you can have situations like.
Where are you getting this from? This like you're just coming up with a whole lot of
I'm not actually coming up with this because there's been some documented cases.
Okay, what relevance would that have though?
The relevance that it has is that, you know, you are as a woman.
I'm just hearing new excuses why it's a risk to be with me. You ain't gotta be with me.
Nobody's saying that there's any risk for being with you. You want to take it.
No, because you talking about with people in a situation like mine, especially in a situation like yours, and so on. And that's why you would normally want to avoid it.
I mean, so, like, I'm saying in some cases, some people do want to avoid that. But like the thing about like the situation I'm speaking on is that because you are female, and like even me as a man, like we have other relationships, other obligations, so it's just like marriage shows that we are mutually entering a contract, and that particular legal reason is probably why it's important. I know, like, you know, with like individuals who are like married from different countries, they have to have legal contracts so they can be with each other. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that it plays some purpose, but that's really the only purpose that it plays to me.
You.
Yeah, to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, for the vast majority, for the vast majority of it, it's miscellaneous. Yeah, to me. Because like it's basically like you own it.
I feel like that type of mentality is just when somebody want to be a thought and they don't want to be committed to somebody.
I mean, but who says that just by being exclusive with somebody is the same as being committed with somebody? Like, I don't understand that, because that seems to me never to be the case. Like, I think a lot of people.
What do you mean? If you're committed to somebody, if you're committed to somebody, you're going to be exclusive to them. Unless you're in a poly situation, unless you're in a poly situation and it's a consensual poly situation, not a cheating poly situation, because that's really not being poly. That's just being a cheating asshole. But you know, why are you looking like that?
I mean, well,
why are you looking like that?
Well, for one, I'm still trying to like contemplate where you get being exclusive is being committed, because that's definitely never the case the way I see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody can be exclusive to me. Oh man, I only, you know what I'm saying? I'm only mess with bro like female. She's only exclusive to me sexually or.
I'm saying being committed means being exclusive. I didn't say being exclusive means being committed. I
And I
said
don't
being
think
committed
that's true.
means being exclusive unless you're both agreeing to being poly.
I don't actually think that's true for real. Cause it's just like, you know what I'm saying. If you got like a child, right, or if you got a child, they got.
This wasn't even supposed to be like a debating type of video.
I mean,
like,
you making it a debate.
I'm
You
making it a debate.
Yeah.
How am I making it a debate?
For one, you constantly talking over me. You won't let me finish my point.
Because you're not making sense.
And you're trying to make things personal.
Because you're not making sense. And you said things directly about me, so how is that not personal?
Name one thing.
You was talking about me having kids and that in my situation, typically you would want to avoid that.
Yeah, you would. I mean, that's just the reality.
So
of it because you realize
you didn't think that was going to turn it into a debate?
I mean, I didn't really think that it was going to turn into a debate because we kind of both understood that. We've talked about it before, but it's like it's not that big of a deal to me. You know what I'm saying? But like, just I'm saying, the reality of it. You know, most people, like you was talking about being exclusive, and most people make that error. They believe that being exclusive is synonymous with being committed, and that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Most people, when they take on a woman or they want to be with a woman, they want her exclusively to themselves. They want
usually
all
y'all want us
access,
exclusively to yourself, and we not supposed to want y'all exclusive to ourselves because y'all own us, but we don't own y'all.
I didn't say
so
that.
Misogynistic.
I didn't say that at all. For one, you're the one who added in that y'all want us to be exclusive to you, but you don't want to be exclusive to us.
You was talking about what it typically is, and that's what it typically is. And you already admitted earlier that you're a misogynist. So.
I know plenty of brothers that want to be exclusive with their women. I know.
We're not talking about plenty of brothers. We're talking about you.
As far as me, I don't care if people are necessarily exclusive to me. Some of the most committed relationships I had have been
people. I'm talking about you and me.
Okay, well, I'm talking about my own personal experience because that's what you asked me for. And the thing about it is some of the most committed relationships I have ever had have been with women who were in other relationships simultaneously. I didn't think it was a big deal. They were always open to me. They were always loving to me. You know what I'm saying? They had aspects of their lives that we didn't share in. I don't think that was a big deal. I had aspects of my life that we didn't share in.
You was out there being a thought.
And that's typical European psychology that ultimately wants to make marriage into some type of possession. Like you supposed to own somebody. That's not the way that it works.
That's what they say when they want to be a thought, and they just want to make it like it's justified and it's okay.
I mean, if we want to go
you
down
don't own me.
Old biblical, extra Protestant type way of thinking.
Really?
I mean, that's what that is, though. That's what that is. That to me is some spook shit. Like that's some spooky. You know what I'm saying? God's gonna come down and he's gonna murder you. You know, as soon as you look at it.
Ain't nobody said nothing about none of that.
Adultery.
But ain't nobody said anything about any of that.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that I feel like all that stuff you talking about is just an excuse to be a thought that nobody own me and so on and so forth, so I can do whatever I want to and I can be with whoever I want to because I'm not anybody's possession.
I mean, I just kind of want to think about when we talk about the construct of slavery, and I'm not necessarily speaking on shadow slavery. I'm not necessarily speaking on the racial dynamic of slavery, but when we think about the concept of slavery, right? This is where a master owned a servant, correct? Now, and we have that archaic model, and that's cool, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that is cool, because for real, it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? But you have this archaic model where one person owns another person. And I think that model really existed in multiple relationships, more relationships than we're willing to admit. Now, slavery stopped, because ultimately, when we look at the 14th and the 15th Amendment, the institution, the industry of slavery stopped. but that practice never actually stopped. For real, the only thing that happened is that it went from the private sector to the public sector. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about the aspect of marriage, it's kind of similar to that concept. In the same way that an owner can own multiple different people who work for him, a man could also own multiple different wives or a single wife that was kind of like his property. You know what I'm saying? Very similar. You have similar contracts. Now, I'm not saying they're exactly the same. The only thing that I'm saying
at that time
is that they are
the
similar.
man had to be able to have the amount of money to be able to support multiple wives.
What?
Back then, the men had to be able to have the enough money and enough of whatever they had. They had to be able to support those wives.
I mean, that's not really anything that I was talking about. I was only saying for real, because the thing about it is, when you look at pre-industrial times, very few men actually supported their wives. Actually, if you look at the earlier periods of American history, the female was the predominant driver of the economic system here. When you look at the two main industries beyond what you think about oil, precious metals, and all these other kind of awkward industries, the two main industries is apparel and food. You know what I'm saying? Apparel, and I'm trying to think of the big word for food. When you go to college for it, what do they call it?
Culinary?
Yeah. Apparel and culinary are the two
You
major
couldn't think of the word
industries
culinary.
of any economic system ever to exist or exists now. And females are the predominant drivers of those. So the idea of a man supporting multiple wives is actually a concept that didn't exist until the Industrial Revolution.
So where they live at?
What do you mean, where do they live at?
Where they live at? If it's the clothing and the food, where they live at? How they get where they live at?
I mean, what are you trying to ask by saying that question?
As far as providing, because you're saying for taking care of is the food and the clothes, which we already know the women got that under control, because, you know. But where they live at? So the man just supposed to not do nothing.
I'm not saying that the man didn't do nothing. I was simply saying, you were saying that that a man had to support multiple wives. And I'm saying that's based off of a modern industrial model of what we believe that a man and a woman's relationship is. But that's not the true reality of it.
Okay.
For real, females did just as much as far as providing for
I
the
mean, of
homes
course.
as the males
Of
did.
course.
So the concept of marriage, like I said before, is a contract which really shows ownership of a man having ownership over a woman, the same way that a man had ownership.
Why you getting so
multiple
serious?
different slaves. I'm just speaking about the reality
You
of the
just like
situation.
your energy is like shifting. Like
I mean, I'm for real. I'm for real talking. You asked me a question. This is me answering it. I mean, you've been trying to pick it apart, but I think maybe more study on the subject would help you do that. But the thing about it is that when
you ain't
you look,
trying to come for me.
I'm not trying to come for. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look at it, you know what I'm saying. The idea of a man, like I said, supporting his wife is the same way that a wife supports her husband. And the thing about it is as far as the concept of marriage, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it really pulls more over into the misogynist idea that a man can own. And if you look at the history, you know what I'm saying, of Asiatic females on both the Caribbean islands and the motherland itself, they have always resisted marriage. They've always resisted that concept because, like I said earlier, it's similar to a contract of ownership. It shows that a man owes a woman in some type, way, or form. Now, because of the clumsy way that our legal system works, it became a necessity. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is really why our people adopted it. You know, we have to remember that when we were talking about earlier times, our people were always getting pushed, whether you believe we were indigenous or whether you believe we were slaves, really doesn't make a difference to me. But our people were always constantly getting pushed and around in the same way that they attacked the family dynamic today, they attacked the family dynamic back then. And that was one of the ways that they constantly split us apart. The institution of marriage helped bring the family together, at least the essential unit of family. And because of those legalistic reasons, I think our people adopted it more than it actually functioning as some reinforcement for the relationship. Because the truth is, if you love somebody, the truth of it is, if you love somebody, you don't need a piece of paper, you don't need a ring, and you don't need a ceremony. I mean, just to be honest with you. Now, I know most people will say, well, every single culture in the history of mankind has some type of marriage ceremony. And that's true. But every single culture in the history of humankind also has a rite of passage. Every single culture in the history of human history also has a type of funeral.
I don't want to talk about this at all.
I mean,
I don't want to talk about it at all.
I didn't really want to do the video. I was trying to watch Jabari on Saturday, but I thought we were making sacrifices for the people. So
I mean, we are, but you going off on a whole tangent and everything about I don't know what. But
like I said, go ahead and, if you did more studies on the subject,
this wasn't even supposed to be about that.
I mean, you started it off with what was your concept of marriage. I answered that.
But it wasn't supposed to be about all that you was talking about.
You asked a bunch of questions that were really unnecessary.
But it was supposed to be
I was about to go into.
But it was supposed to be a prank.
I was about to go into like the twin flame. I was about to go into the concept of love. I was talking about
I thought that was a big
feminine and masculine.
But it wasn't supposed to be about that. It was supposed to be a prank.
The prank is I ain't get to watch the Barrio Saze. That's the prank. That's the prank.
The prank is I was supposed to be being mean to you the whole video.
Yeah.
Just like rude.
Yeah, you succeeded in that. You've been very rude.
So did I fail? I succeeded. So that means it's team Nikki. I kind of low key feel like I failed because you ain't like really react. You played that shit real cool though. Cause I can see you was getting frustrated. That's why I was like, why you looking like that? And why you getting serious? Cause you was getting frustrated, but you played it real cool. Anyway, so that's the end of our first video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and like this video. Is it Team Nikki or is it not? You said I was successful, so you might as well say Team Nikki.
Yeah, you might as well. Shit, you succeeded. I sure was trying to watch you Barrio Saze.
So say Team Nikki.
Yeah, I'm about to say nah.
See, you a cornball. You're a sore loser. Anyway, tell our people peace.
Down to the people.